Hey, what's up YouTube? This is Chris, back with a quick review of the HPX Riff Raff diesel high pressure oil crossover that they sell. There's other companies out there that sell it, and I've seen some videos on YouTube where people install them, and it's an easy install, but they never really show the difference between the ICP pressure before and after. Before I installed this, the ICP pressure at idle, at a hot idle, once the engine is warmed up, the oil temperature's up, mine would fluctuate between, almost 100 psi to 50 psi, back and forth, which is why the engine from stock kind of runs a little rough at times. People complain about the idle. The engine's a little loud, it kind of idles more rough, and it's not so smooth. So I've had it installed for about 6 or 7 months. There's my ICP pressure. So as you can see right now, it's very stable. The oil temperature is about 165. I've been getting ready to do an oil change, so I wanted to warm the truck up before I drained it. So as you can see, it's only going between 10 psi, and pretty common is about 15 to 20 with it installed. And like I said, before it would go between pretty close to 50 to 100 psi. I've noticed since I installed it, when you first start the truck, it might fluctuate more because maybe there's a little bit of air in the system, depending on how long my truck's been sitting. I don't really drive it a lot. I've been trying to save the miles on it, but once it does warm up and all of the oil is pushed through the system and there's no air, really it only fluctuates between maybe 10 to 20 psi. But like I said before I installed it, it would fluctuate 50 to 100 psi, and that did make the truck run a little bit rougher as far as idle goes. And the other benefit I've noticed is that it definitely, when you're off idle and you're starting to head down the road after a stoplight or a stop sign or something, it's much smoother. It seems to have more throttle response, and it just does run a lot smoother. So I'll run outside real quick out of the truck and got the hood popped open, and I'll just show you it real quick. So here's the passenger side. There's just a plug in the head that you have to remove. There is an O-ring on it, so make sure you remove the old O-ring. The crossover tube does come with a fitting with a brand new O-ring, and you don't have to tighten it very tight. Just snug it down. If you got a little bit of a leak, just go ahead and snug it a little tighter. The tube itself has a captured, that silver fitting is captured on the tube itself, and you just tighten it down once you get the plug in there. And here's the driver's side. Well, you guys can see that, but it goes in just the same way. Most of the other parts I've seen that are not the Riff Raff brand, similar tube design, or excuse me, size. And the bends might be slightly different, but it's the same idea. And it's very, very easy install. I haven't had any leaks or nothing. I just tightened it up, one time. And like I said, if you look over here, there's my ICP sensor, and that's in the front of the driver's side head. So you have 2 lines coming off your high pressure pump that feed into this high pressure oil rail that it is actually screwed into. So without that crossover, it's really only reading pressure off this one bank on the driver's side. So by having that crossover tube, it helps just to equalize the pressure, so that way that this sensor is telling the IPR how much pressure that is required. Well, now that you got them both connected, it's the IPR isn't opening and closing as fast, either way, open or closed. It can be more stable, and it's kind of hitting like a sweet spot in the middle, and that's why that ICP pressure is a lot more stable. And it does improve the starting of the truck. It's smoother running at idle, and smoother throttle response. So highly recommend it, guys. Talk to you later.